This week, I was very pleased to hear that the Minister was in Peterborough with the Minister of Transportation and the member for Peterborough-Kawartha to announce $1.62 billion in funding allocated for transit infrastructure in municipalities outside the GTHA. And this is part of a much larger program dedicated to making life affordable, making Ontario open for jobs, and I might add, is good for the environment too. Speaker, this is big news for the people of small-town Ontario. Providing the right infrastructure in the right place at the right time shows our commitment to not only putting the people first, but also returning our budget to balance. Will the Minister please tell us more about this great program?
Minister of Infrastructure.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd be happy to tell you more about this program. I'd like to begin by thanking the member from Durham for that question this morning. Mr. Speaker, our government is putting people first. This month, I launched $30 billion in funding that will make life better for the people right across this province. The Investing in Canada infrastructure program will help keep our roads safer, make our commutes easier, and keep communities healthier. It will create and protect good jobs right across Ontario. Mr. Speaker, the Wynne Liberals promised infrastructure with absolutely no plan to pay for it. That was made clear when we inherited a $15 billion deficit. And Mr. Speaker, it's not surprising that their federal cousins, the Trudeau Liberals, are following the same playbook. They promised infrastructure spending that a Senate committee recently described as, I quote, short-sighted. Mr. Speaker, our government isn't making empty promises. We announced this program after a careful province-wide review to make sure that we got it right. Mr. Speaker, we will make the right infrastructure investments at the right time and in the right place. Thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Speaker, this is encouraging news from the Minister. When our government invests in smart infrastructure, we're creating jobs, growing the economy, and shaping the future for hardworking families in Ontario. While the Trudeau Liberals have been criticized by the Parliamentary Budget Officer, the Auditor General, and the Senate Committee, our Government for the People is making investments to make Ontario open for jobs with a fiscally responsible approach. Speaker, the Investing in Canada infrastructure plan is built to address the needs of communities and delegate funding through several different streams. Would the Minister tell us more about the streams announced thus far?
Minister.
Well, once again, Mr. Speaker, thank you to the honourable member for that excellent question. Mr. Speaker, on March 12th, we launched this program with the opening of the Rural and Northern Funding Stream. Our government believes in supporting small, rural, northern and Indigenous communities and making crucial infrastructure investments like roads and bridges. Mr. Speaker, this week, as I said, I launched the transit stream with the Minister of Transportation. That's $1.62 billion for public transit in municipalities outside of the GTHA. Mr. Speaker, shorter commutes means more time spent with families and more goods transported. That means healthier communities, and that means more jobs and economic growth right across Ontario. Mr. Speaker, our government is listening and has heard the infrastructure needs of our municipalities. We are serving the needs of the people, bringing the province back to balance, and showing that Ontario is open for jobs.